Welcome back, everyone, to Hearts of Iron 4 Mod Spotlight. And this time we're taking a look at Red Flood demo, as you can see. Now, this is not a finished product. It is a demo that has been sent to me to check it out. Now, this is Spotlight, so, you know, I'm not going to get any real gameplay done out here. So, for that, you'll have to, watch the... This should be uploaded on a Saturday, and if everything went to plan, I streamed yesterday. So yeah, you can go check that out. I'll be streaming as friends, or yeah, in the future, compared to right now. Anyway, so what is this mod? I've already described this as like a kind of crazy mod. And yeah, basically what's going on over here is that World War I was won by no one. And a whole bunch of different regimes rose up as a result. The US never got involved, and it's in its own isolationist state. The United Kingdom is still around, but basically everything else is different. In Russia, the Bolshevik Revolution succeeded, but then it was crushed, and now Russia is a kind of warlord state in a way. Kolchak is ruling there, but there's a bunch of problems. Victory, quote unquote, in the Velикая война, and there's a bunch of Russian warlord states that are nominally part of Russia, as you can see, are green, but they're actually kind of independent on their own terms. There's Zholta Rossiya, which is weird as fuck. We're gonna get to that in a bit. Japan is completely stagnating, and it's at war with China. And China, well, China's China. We're gonna take a look at it in a bit. Well, the rest of Europe is where things get very, very interesting. Now, Russia itself can get very interesting, but not as insane as some of the things that are going on in Europe. So, first thing first is the not really insane German Socialist Republic, which is allied to the Hungarian Council Republic in the Third International, which is because basically the 1919 German Spartacist revolution succeeded instead of failing. And so there's cool events, and yeah, so Germany is its own Soviet Republic, Räterepublik. They've got their own cool focus stream, and they can take on the rest of Europe and bring on the revolution. They have a bunch of paths that we can check out in a little bit. Austria is the, Austria and Prussia, actually. Prussia exists. It's under Kurt von Schleicher, and it's basically just a military exile state, as is Austria, basically. Austria has a bunch of German exiles, and it actually has a tiny bit of Sudetenland and Slovenia, so it got off on a little bit better terms than what it had in the real Great War. And it's got, yeah, as you can see, ultra-nationalists. By ultra-nationalists, some of them are pan-Germanic, because, again, German exiles. And then there's, quote-unquote, moderates and Reds. The Reds can rejoin with, obviously, the German Socialist Republic, while the moderates is Hitler. Because, yes, Hitler is a moderate in here. And it's not exactly because, like, yeah, he's a little bit less, extreme, but not even that much. It's just that the extreme ideologies here are extreme as fuck. Czechoslovakia, for some reason, is a kingdom, but, oh, whatever. And again, Hungarian Council Republic, that's Bela Kun. That's a historical thing. In real life, it was crushed by the Romanians and Yugoslavians and the Czechoslovaks and the Little Entente, but, it is a real thing. Turkey is dismembered, and apparently Enver Pasha is the leader, so yeah, have fun there. Bulgaria is revisionist socialism, agrarian socialist, under Stamboliski, who in real life was, I believe, assassinated in 1922-23 for being too friendly to the USSR. He was this sort of moderate, sort of radical social democrat. Again, agrarian social democrat. Greece is its own thing. Albania has liberal Enver Hoxha, which is quite cool. McBunkers, with those amazing glasses. Montenegro's insane, and that's where we get introduced to the ideology that is also in France, which is sort of the main focus of all this. It's accelerationism. Accelerationism is basically the political version of futurism, which was an artistic movement in real life, which emerged in the 1920s and late 1910s actually, since the Great War. And basically, futurism was all about the cult of the new: speed, acceleration, manliness, aggressiveness, violence, all the things that to them defined modern society, as opposed to the old, backwards, slow and muddy past. So basically, this ideology proposes that the real soul of humanity is innovation and, again, violence. So concepts like stability, law, those kinds of things, they're kind of for pussies in a way, and you'll see in avant-garde France how that goes, and everything should be done for art, and essentially that reality itself is just kind of shaped by what our will decides. They're very, very sort of Nietzschean in that way. And the stronger man will always prevail because of that spirit. So I've kind of defined them as techno-fascist in a way, and basically in real life the fascists were partially coming out of a futurist thought, but it's more complicated than that. Now, of course, in real life, fascism went into full-on traditionalism, but in here you have this crazy-ass France that is completely ruined from the Great War and has turned to this ideology to survive. While fascism hasn't taken hold in Italy, Italy is still a ineffective democracy, and the proto-fascists, who were the Fiume regime, the Reggenza del Carnaro regime. Carnaro is just a river over here from which the town of Fiume, which means river, takes its name from. They're their own kind of little state. De facto, they're part of Italy. De jure, they're part of Italy, but de facto, they're independent and allied to France. And they're this kind of weird rogue state, essentially. Spain is its own republic, but they're going to have a civil war. Portugal is influenced by the British, and Ireland is part of the Commonwealth. South America, no one cares, I guess, although Paraguay is vanguard socialist and starts at war with Bolivia. And, of course, Peru is weird. They're accelerationist, and they're going back to Inca, I guess. So basically, this ideology is, again, futurism, doesn't really take that much. It's not as focused on the myths of the past as fascism, but there are wings of it that do love the past perhaps a little bit too much. Maybe you could say that they want to synthesize the past and its myths with the technology and the future, essentially. And you've probably read this one. I've actually never read this one. Dear members of the front, my name is not important. All you should know of me is that I am friend of the old France. As it stands, you and I have much to benefit from each other. I have long known of the partisan movements against Reich Artaud, and I support them wholeheartedly. Yeah, because, oh shit. Oh, this is the secret path, I guess. They said that there is a secret path. Colonel Maurice de Saint-Pierre was a scarred man. Okay. Let's make a save. Because I do want to revisit this. They do say that there is a secret path. I mean, although, it's not that secret if it's right at the beginning. So, apparently there is a resistance movement going on against avant-garde France. And you'll see why, because these guys are insane. Now, another thing that's in the political landscape of Europe that you can see while I am letting my game be slow instead of saving, is that Central Europe, or rather Central Eastern Europe, is kind of weird because that's the Intermarium. So essentially, this is because they're under Joseph Piłsudski. They're also accelerationist, but I don't know, since they have just a generic focus tree, I don't know exactly what kind of flavor they're going to have. But essentially, Piłsudski, who was an important Polish leader in essentially the teens, the 20s, and the 30s, essentially what his project was to expand eastward by creating this kind of web of sovereignties in the western parts of the Russian Empire, what he called the Promethean Project. And so that's basically what he's done. Ukraine is a thing, under Simon Petliura, no less, who was the leader of Ukraine during a part of the Russian Civil War. Had a sip of water. And then there's Belarus and Lithuania doing their own thing. And then there's Romania, which is just normal. Romania is the only place that's normal. I mean, Switzerland, I guess, is also normal. And the Netherlands chopped up Belgium. They took the northern part, while Wallonia is free in the southern part. Luxembourg is actually a puppet of Germany, the German Socialist Republic. And Belgium itself is exiled to the fucking Congo. Because of course. And yeah, because of the Great War shenanigans, a bunch of colonies are weird, but don't even think about that. That's not the important part. The important part is Europe. Why is it important? Well, let's take a look at avant-garde France and the German Socialist Republic, who are, for now, the stars of the show. Although Russia does also have their own focus tree, but not all their paths are in the demo, so I don't really want to take a look at them that much right now. Just know that these guys have a lot of absolutely insane right-wing ideologies that they can go. For example, the Black Hundredists, who are sort of the weird Russian proto-fascist people, Tsarists. And in the summer vacation is when Mr. Kolchak can meet his doom, or he can, sort of crack down and continue his rule. And then another thing that they can go, but that's not in yet, which is one of the things that I wanted to do, which is why I won't do Russia, is Mlada Rossi, who are sort of hyper-fascists in this one. In real life, they were kind of the early Nazbols, but it's a weird thing. Essentially, avant-garde France. There's three main wings of the Futurists. The Futurists are the Parti National de l'Avant-Garde Surréaliste, accelerationists. Their leader is Antonin Artaud, and there's three wings that are sort of vying for influence and power. One of them are the sort of Celtic primitivists, howling with the wolves. Ogier, he's kind of a weird mix of anarchist and primitivist. Either a lot or sort of. We'll see exactly how. Then there is the Ecotone, who are essentially just the regular guys, the regular futurists in a way, but they're also insane. You'll see why. So they have the cult of speed, and they have, just basically the Ecotone. What they are is that they're kind of a mix between like the black shirts and SS kind of paramilitary organizations with hooligans, I've been told, because they kind of just run around being good old boys, fucking beating people up, getting in cars and vandalizing things. That's basically what they do. They're a bunch of fun people. Remove Dot. For too long, Angers demented furies and Bataille's sex-crazed degenerates. Bataille's sex-crazed degenerates are the Asafal, I believe, and you'll see why they're sex-crazed degenerates. Sex-crazed degenerates have disgraced the great name of France and Le Patron. Le Patron is Antonin Artaud. He's known as the patron of France. And therefore, we must expel this debris from our grey machine. You can see the kind of flavor that these guys are going for. They're very flamboyant. They have the heroic capitalism. So they're kind of corporatist, very, very corporatist. You know, they want to fuse capital and the state a lot. So in that way, they are, you know, a bit like fascists, just a lot more, you know, actually less pussies than actually implementing it. Modernization without mercy. It's lovely because you get, like, in all these events that are, like, terrible and shit, there's always, like, minus 1,000 manpower or minus 10,000, you know, showing you that people are fucking dying because of this, which is just amazing. We have given plenty of chances to join the revolution. We can no longer wait the decadent fools hold our acceleration back. Join or die. Love it. On the ruins of old. So, you know, less stability. It's just great. We must not let the Republic's disgusting monuments to decadence remain to poison the future generations. So, yeah, just, you know, kill everything, destroy the old things, burn them, and, you know, kill the women, because the Futurists were sometimes pretty misogynistic. And yeah, down here they have free paths. They can either embrace the countryside, and that goes into techno-Catharism, which is an insane religion that they make up, sort of reviving this medieval sect of Christianity, which was Catharism. They were all crusaded and genocided to death, by the way, by the Catholic Church. Very fun stuff. Yeah, basically what they believe in this one is that essentially Fast Messiah. Essentially, like, you know, them and the state are like this whole weird, you know, weird collective kind of thing, Gnosticism, and we'll see what they want to do with that. State vandalism is militarism, citoyen soldat, or promote homoeroticism, man of new modernity, faster, terminal velocity, remove national spirit, corporate management. Wonder, there's probably something in there, which is kind of fun. Where's corporate management, I wonder? Who knows? Oh, maybe something over here? Yeah, this one. Okay. So that's basically the three sort of sub things that they can do. And the other branch that they have is Ecotone for all, which these guys are basically like, you know, socially progressive fascists, and they want to kill the religious, except for their religion, of course. And they're fine with, like, people being brown as long as they're absolute boss-ass futurists, you know? So they can get cores on this stuff, which other guys can get too, but yeah. And then the other one is the Legacy of the Revolution, which is the insane path, where they can basically turn the state into this weird collectivist thing where they abolish reality, and they're known as the l'état irréel, because what they believe is that basically what you believe is reality, and we are all just part of this collective fiction, which is insane, but at the same time not as insane as you may think. Like, there were people that really had this kind of worldview. You know, I believe they're called, like, solipsists, which is a weird term, but, like, yeah, they existed essentially in the 19th century and early 20th. They had quite a bit of a following in Russia and in Germany. But yeah, basically, what they do is they say, okay, whatever, who cares about reality? Let's just, you know, go off on a collective orgy and die. Speaking of collective orgies, there is another group called the Acefal, who are this sort of secret but not very secret society of boss bitches, essentially, and chads. That's basically what they are. They, you know, embrace everyone that's a big boss enough to, you know, be a real man or whatever. And what they do is they believe in this kind of, yeah, like laws purposes, you know, embrace the black market. Their economic theory, I've been explained, is basically like, okay, this is a really big brain, so, you know, just be prepared for that. So basically what they say is like, okay, we live in capitalism, we produce a lot, okay, good. We're gonna go into crisis because we produce too much, which is the same premise as Marxism, basically. But what they say is, okay, then we should waste a bunch of things and actually produce to essentially, you know, consume in a hedonistic way. It sounds weird, and it is, but basically, you know, it's the, you could say, more economically minded version of, again, like, you know, crazy futurist, Ecotone kind of people. If your religion is acceleration and, you know, great future endeavors and stuff, then this makes perfect sense, to be honest. And what they do is they turn France into a confederation to sort of deal with some of the internal stability problems, and as you can see, La Métropole, a brave new world, and they develop different parts of France. I love by the way, the icons are incredible in this. Really, really, really good. Destroy native populism, and yeah, they get cores on the colonies. Because again, all these guys are also pretty inclusive. Again, they don't care what you are as long as you're a real boss motherfucker and you do hedonistic art things. Yeah, like La Merci, you know, we get all the things, and then futurist paradise. Love it. All via the power of the aristocrats. Again, like this aristocratic kind of thing is not really like blood aristocracy, it's more like a kind of meritocratic kind of thing, at least meritocracy by their own terms. And they do a bunch of very stupid things, and I like how they do kind of free love. If you love a woman, 2 women, a man, 2 men, any, and they don't, they cut it off. Anyone you wish is fair game to love. We now have the freedom to love. I love it. Besides, if there are people agitating to overthrow us, having them out in the open makes it easier to put down a revolt. Finally, we have lifted all restrictions on ideologies. Stability minus 10%, hedonistic society. Love it. And the other thing is the more insane ones, the primitivists. So like these other guys are, again, futurists, so kind of understandable. These guys instead idealize the past instead of the future. And so what is in the past of France? The Celts. And the leader, Augier, is, he has been described to me as an anarchist in the SS. And apparently that's what he was in real life as well. Which is a contradiction, but that's the whole point. It's insane. It doesn't make absolutely any sense, but whatever. As you can see, party popularity will change. That's established the Druidist order. Basically, you know, they go around and kill everyone who disagrees. And you will see that there's a lot of like ridiculous numbers over here, like monthly population plus 100%. But there's a reason, because this path essentially runs your country into the ground. In the Celtic state, sort of. In away with the state, completely. As you can see, political power gain minus 100. Construction speed minus 100%. Production efficiency cap minus 90%. Why? Because this is insane, and we're going to take a look at that in a bit. So this is like the less insane one, and it's basically primitivism and extremely decentralized fascism. Basically, that's what it is. And yeah, it's also very agrarian, obviously, like, you know, archaeofuturism. Like, they don't really care that much about industry, and it's represented. It's not like, oh my god, we're gonna represent it by giving civilian factories. No. You don't get, like, industry. Like, yeah, you get a bunch of buffs to your troops or whatever, and, 100% base stability because I guess you've killed everyone who disagrees, and tribal democracy, extreme decentralization. But every single civilian factory will be removed from our land. Replace self-sufficiency with freed from industry. Infantry equipment production cost minus 40%. So this is what this is sort of symbolizing, is that, like, the factories still exist, but, like, everyone does with them what they will. So it's not like they can build new ones, but everyone's building their own guns. Yeah, I know, it's very, very amazing. And basically what this whole, like, right side is about is building a horde of barbarians to take over Europe, essentially. And they've got, obviously, more religion. We own everything! One of the following must be true. Made major concessions to Dorje, who was, like, a trade unionist guy, I think. Yeah, I mean, burn Old Testament influence, minus 50%. Popularity of accelerationism, minus 50% stability. Reject private property. I fucking love this. It's like communal property, plus 25% resource gain, minus 15% consumer goods factories, but minus 30% stability. And then, you just get a bunch of things because you nationalize everything, I guess. We own everything. No more are the capitalists. No more are the urban elite. Yeah, they hate people in cities. No more is the tyranny of the city. There is only the farmer and the state. The two shall work as one, and together shall lead France into the utopia of the future. Yeah, whatever. The Celtic language, return to tradition, blah, blah, blah. The right side one is more insane. Away with the state. So this basically happens because the leader goes even more insane, Augier, and we will destroy the infrastructure in every single state. We will destroy all military and civilian factories. La révolution industrielle et ses conséquences. This will become the next meme, I can imagine. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences. It is, yeah, every man a hunter. It's 50% recruitable population because every man is conscripted, basically. So yeah, there's a bunch of buffs, but you don't have industry. This is meant to be a suicide path, essentially. And the thing is, at the end, you get to free Europe from civilization, and we will claim all of Europe as our cores. Essentially, if somehow you manage to kill everyone without any factories, you make the free people of Europe or whatever, and it's basically just, you have destroyed civilization. Like, that's literally what that is, which is amazing. Good stuff, good stuff. Now, Germany is less insane by comparison, but they exist, and they're kind of cool. So they have three main wings, or I guess three main parties. There's the let's actually tag over to Germany so we can check out the parties themselves. So there is die Nationale Mehrheitsarbeiterpartei Deutschlands, Kommunistische Partei Deutschland, just avant-garde, who are vanguard socialists. So that's two parties, actually. The KPDA are sort of the more inline, more constitutional, again, German Socialist Republic kind of socialists. They're just, the left wing sort of standard. They're just more left-wing than usual. Now, the MAPD are nationalist, Nationale Mehrheitspartei. And all the other ones are international. Well, okay, so there's two nationalist parties. There is the NMAPD and there is the USPD. The USPD is the Unabhängige... What is that term? Sozialistische Partei Deutschland, which is the Independent Social Democratic Party of Germany, which was a real party, and it was essentially the left wing of the SPD that split off after 1918 because it didn't support the SPD government as much as the SPD, which, again, like, interwar politics are weird, and it almost, I believe, joined the Third International, which was, in our timeline, the Communist International, based in Moscow. But, you know, it's very weird. We're not going to get into it. It's complicated. And they basically are sort of semi-isolationist politically, but very, very, you know, quote-unquote liberalizing kind of thing. They can make a deal with the Anglo, you know. They're basically social democrat, even if that means selling out some comrades. So basically they betray the revolution and make the League of Nations. So basically what they do is, you know, yeah, just they're just milquetoast. Or they can say peace for unity and make like a kind of sort of moderate, you know, Central European alliance, basically. The fortress socialism is what they are. Supporting Hungary and Norway, which is the North Atlantic People's Councils. They should have just called it like the North Atlantic Trade Unionist Organization, just to be truly, truly memey. Anyway, this guy looks a lot like Friedrich Engels, but whatever. That's one hell of a beard. And yeah, basically, they're them. The other nationalists, again, are the... these are Nazbols, essentially. The NMAPD, they're Nazbols. So either Neue Deutscher Sozialismus, which is... yeah, the head of said family is Joseph Goebbels. That's because the leader of this guy is Paul Joseph Goebbels. Yeah. Apparently, yeah. So that's that. You don't need to know anything else. Or maybe, once the Germanic people, we did not worship the gods of Jerusalem, Rome, or Mecca. It had its own gods, and every true German patriot should worship them. So basically, they can go esoteric Nazbolism. Basically. Reduce churches to rubble. Love it. In fact, I kind of wish that this one was, you know, in this path, but whatever. And they, you know, reconstruct the pantheon, essentially, and praise Germania at the end. I don't even know anymore. Everyone can spread the revolution, basically, except... yeah, pan-Germanismus. What they do is they do pan-Germanismus. So, the quote-unquote constitutional socialist, status quo socialist, whatever, or revolutionary socialist, what they do is they spread the revolution. What the Revolution of Peace does is selling out and betraying the revolution. What pan-Germanismus does is, yeah, you can imagine. You can imagine what they do. Greater Germany, free the Slavs, revenge for 772, support local belief systems or red imperialism. Yeah, that's for Neue Deutscher Sozialismus. Wow, this one is the weird thing. So that's basically them. And yeah, the Neue Deutsche Sozialismus is basically Stalinism. Like, the Geheime Volkspolizei is the General People's Police, basically like, you know, Stasi beta version. They kill people, which is relatively normal. The Große Säuberung, the Great Purge, basically. And they got their own little Great Purge thing. Reintroduce executions, you know, glorify war. Unser Volksführer, love it. Rehabilitation für bro, the penal battalion. So they're basically Stalin. Like, look at this. They're, you know, Größer Bruder, the bigger brother. Yeah, literally, just Stalin. Then, out here is three wings of KPD, German Communist Party. At the beginning, they are the Spartacus Flügel, the Spartacist wing, I'm guessing. Flugzeug, yeah, most likely. So they have the Spartacists, who are basically more quote unquote moderate, Very, quote-unquote. Because none of these guys are really that moderate, but yeah. There's just KPD, you know, that is if you avoid the splitting of the party, and KPD-A, who again are the Leninist sort of left-wing. And in here, you suppress the reactionaries, establish VKRSS. I'm not sure what that is, but that sounds great. Strengthen the party, and that goes down to socialist humanism. But that's because everyone gets that. Then the center one, you get to choose a leader between a bunch of people, I believe, and some of them are real cool historical people. So yeah, the centrist, quote unquote, even though it's more like united KPD victory, is kind of fun. And looks like in this one the AI chose the Luxembourgist wing, who are basically the main difference between these two is that what the Leninists are for is to build a vanguard party, while the Luxembourgists don't really want a vanguard party as much as they want a party that is able to essentially lead the masses when they spontaneously rise up. Essentially, that's what they believe. They believe that capitalism kind of collapses in and of its own accord when the time is right, and so the party should exist and you know, lead this process, but it shouldn't pretend to be a vanguard, essentially. While what the Leninists believe is that capitalism doesn't really collapse as much as it goes in crisis, and the party is there to sort of make that crisis topple over into a collapse. That's 2 cents, you know, explaining the difference. So basically what that leads to is the Leninists are a little bit more into, again, strengthening the party, while the Luxembourgists are more into strengthening the socialist institutions of Germany. And that's what they do. But then, spread the revolution. So, I believe this is actually bugged, because every wing of the KPD can take either the Luxembourg doctrine or the Lenin doctrine. So the Lenin doctrine is inspired on what Lenin did essentially after founding the Third International, which was try to expand into not just promoting socialist revolution in Europe, where capitalism existed and was developed, and you know, the proletariat was a thing, but also promoting nationalist revolution in Asia and Africa, you know, where the European colonies were oppressing native populations. So that's basically them. And yeah, that's more, again, like national self-determination, Einwürzelung, Karenizacja, so basically the, you know, sort of self-determination kind of thing. And then in the end, Völkerfreundschaft, you know, friendship of peoples, which gives you a bunch of non-core manpower. So, you know, if you go around taking over Africa, I guess that's a really good idea. Then, you know, World Revolution. For some reason, this focus has no effect. Oh, you get the 8th World Congress of the International. The future of international socialism. From down here, you get... We will add 2 off-map military and civilian factories for every Marxist nation in the world. Anti-imperialism, mission to India, the IRA, what's going on in the Congo, aid the Chinese comrades. Oh yeah, China, we'll get to that in a bit. Meet the Japanese comrades. That is something that can happen. The Socialist Muslim Committee, you know, all these things, the liberation theology. Yeah, which improves your revisionist socialism, the Christian Workers and Peasants Party. But in return, you get a bunch of ideology support in a bunch of nations that are very Catholic, so that's always kind of nice. And with the Luxembourg Doctrine, you just go full-on anti-nationalism and fuck you, we're gonna make the Union of Socialist Council Republics. Huh. I wonder what that would mean. I wonder, really wonder, what is that equivalent to? Oh yeah, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Soviet means councils. So yeah, the USSR, but here you get cores on all of Europe, which I fucking love. At last we can unify the people of Europe and soon the world under the red banner of socialism. Yeah, I love it. So that's definitely a lot more based than the pan-Germanism. It's fucking amazing. Netzwerke. Oh yeah, networks of revolutionaries. Cool. So yeah, Germany, as you can see, is very, very, very awesome. Very awesome. Internationally, let's check out the rest of the world. Well, North America is boring. South America is boring. That leaves us with Asia. The British hold on India has completely collapsed. Except for... What the fuck? Oh, jeez. Oh, no. This is not good. Oh, this is really bad. Oh, shit. This is really, really bad. Anyway, the Madras presidency, they have that. Then they have the United Provinces. Oh, look. Look who's that. Oh, who is that? The Dyer's dictatorship. What could possibly go wrong with Winston Churchill at the head of India? And the British Army trying to reunite India under the Raj. Then there's also Madras and Ceylon that are still loyal to the Commonwealth. But yeah, basically he can go around and kill everyone and reestablish good colonial order. Apparently there's... Actually didn't know that was... So the Russians are everywhere in this mod. Two primary examples apparently is Kashmir. I didn't even know that there was a Russian army officer here. Oh my god, that's amazing. So basically he's like his own little mercenary group in Kashmir. What could possibly go fucking wrong? There's a Punjab state. Now Punjab is a weird Sikh region of India. Not sick in that they're like, oh yo, really, really sick. But that's, you know, it's a religion. XD. There's Dinia, which is, as far as I understand, Pakistan, basically. You know, the Muslim League. Afghanistan's big, and they're under the guy that in Kaiserreich is basically the Taliban, but whatever. Persia lost a piece to Azerbaijan. Wait, there's two Azerbaijans. Oh no, that's... See, that has the borders of real Azerbaijan, but it's Centro-Caspia. What the fuck is that? I have no idea. But yeah, sure. Centro-Caspia is a thing. And we're gonna get to this later. It's insane. Let's stick to India. There's a Rajasthan Socialist Republican Army, which is +1. It's basically the Barafia commune of this one. Bangladesh is Monarchy Restorers. Interesting. United Churches of Assam. There's a... okay, so what you need to know about India is that there's like a trillion ethnicities around here. Especially when you get to this area, because terrain gets really bad. Especially also like here. There's a bunch of weird tribal ethnicities. Now, the Order of the Star... Theosophistical Society, reactionary. This is an insane, like, kind of weird religious sect, and we don't want to get into them because I don't understand exactly what they are. Just know that in real life, essentially what they evolve into is a thing called esoteric Hitlerism. So yeah, just know that they're a bunch of interesting people. Then there's Aryavarta, who I'm guessing are trying to essentially reunite India under a kind of nationalist regime. Religious oh, they're Hindu national. Oh, shit. Yeah, they're not fun people either. Oh, RSS. Rashtriya Swakamkam Sangh. Right, these people exist in real life as well. And the actual current Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, used to be a part of RSS. So yeah, he's a fun guy. Hyderabad is a princely state, which is a weird thing in India where essentially during the Raj period, not all the Indian kingdoms that existed before the British conquest were just abolished and annexed. A few were, well, quite a few actually, remained as quote-unquote princely states, and one of them was Hyderabad. The biggest one was Hyderabad, and they're still around under Osman Ali Khan. They have this guy, by the way, exists, I believe, in Kaiserreich, in the Princely Federation, which is that thing, the princely states. Travancore and Mysore, again, 2 princely states. So that's India, and there's big-ass Nepal. And there's a country that doesn't exist, not real. And then let's go into like Central Asia and Russia. In Russia, there's a bunch of warlords, as we saw. Finland is its own thing, but then there's the Baltic General Governorate under Pavel Bermont Avalov. This guy is shielding essentially like a bunch of crazy radical people known as Mladarossi, but you know, they're not in yet. They've got the generic focus tree. Then there is the Novorossiyan General Governorate, which is left bank Ukraine. Yeah, the one on the right is called left bank Ukraine because it's on the left bank of the Dnieper as you sail down towards the Black Sea, whereas the right bank Ukraine is under Poland. And they're under Vladimir Maimayevsky, who, again, all these guys are like Imperial Russian generals. And obviously Novorossiya, because this whole region was called Novorossiya. Famously, this term came back into use by Russian nationalists today. Southeastern Union is basically the Don Kuban kind of thing, and they're under Alexei Kalyedin, who in the Russian Civil War led essentially the White Army in this area. Down here, the Russian Empire has lost a bunch of territory. Armenia is big. Assyria is a thing. Benjamin the 19th Shamun. Kurdistan is a thing under Barzani, who, by the way, this guy is even, like, he looks the same, even, as there's a bunch of politicians in today's Kurdistan, Iraqi Kurdistan, that are from this family, the Barzanis. And so, and they even look the fucking same. It's insane. Yeah, this is one hell of a political dynasty down there. Azerbaijan is essentially Iranian Azerbaijan. It's complicated, we're not going to get into it. And then there's the fucking Kavkaz Society, who's under a poet, futurist poet, Vladimir Mayakovsky. In this, Apostle Budushiva, the apostle of the future. This is insane. It's not in yet, but it's going to have an insane focus tree. Now, in real life, the Russian futurist movement was revolutionary socialist, which is the opposite to the European one, which was fascist. The explanation for this guy being, you know, extreme right-wing instead of socialist revolutionary is that since the revolution failed in Russia, all these guys essentially were absorbed by the French avant-garde style. So because of that influence, there's a bunch of futurists in Russia that are crazy techno-fascists. And that's the Kavkaz Society under Vladimir Mayakovsky. And this guy in real life was a poet of the revolution, and very, very good stuff, by the way. So you should check that out. Then there's the Orenburg military district under Alexander Dutov. Bukhara is its own independent little thing under this guy. You've probably seen him all over the place. General Governorate of the Steppes under Kornilov. This guy is important. Altai. Not even puppet of Russia, just there. Siberian General Government under Alexei Grishin Almazov, know nothing about him. Grigory Stark under in Yakutia. Transbaikal, which is not a puppet of Russia because it's a weird Cossack thing, under Grigory Mikhailovich Semyonov, who was the Cossack warlord of the Trans-Siberian. And yes, it is him. It is him. Yes, he's fucking insane. And yes, he has a focus tree. Alliance with the Kazakhs. Embrace the rising sun. Expulsion of the Anhui clique, who are essentially Mongolo-China. Embrace the Buddhist state. Deal with the Cossack traders. Bring peace to China. And there is a little Chinese character call, which means peace over there. Himalayan campaign, realm of the living Buddha, union with Tibet, create the faction Eurasian Khanate. Why do you create the faction anyway if you just annex them? Order in West China. It's also amazing because learn from Japan, War of Faiths, Teutonic discipline. They're like basically just simplifies everything. Roman unity, which just gains cores on things. Army of Eurasian conquest. The power of the Tsar, the order of the peasants. It's just like every insane thing. Nirvana on Earth. Like, you know, Russian banners, Mongolians, Pan-Asianism, Islamic Brotherhood. Christ, just, it's insane, and I love it. It's just like, you know, every adjective, let's have it. And, you know, it's ridiculous, but at the same time, it's fun, which is a good thing. So this is basically just, you know, go and kill everyone. Basically, they're called the Imperial Authority in this very, very neutral thing because this guy was insane in real life as well. And in Red Flood, everyone is like so radical and so extremist that this guy is standard, and he just basically just wants this syncretic Eurasian empire, as it says. He just wants to make this big old like blob empire thing, basically. Then there's a bunch of weird Chinese cliques that are great. Vietnam is insane, but it's not around yet, so like it's not like they're puppets of the Japanese, but there's a bunch of weird stuff that's going on, so I have no idea. That's because obviously the French sort of empire fell apart, and so a lot of it went to different people. Siam is huge, apparently. And yeah, the Netherlands are out here doing their own thing, as you'd expect. Westralia is free. And yeah, China's kind of ridiculous a bit. So the order in these stages is that Japan's got a lot stronger, but it's also more overextended. They have the Ishin-Ha faction ruling, which means the restorationist faction. Hirohito died of something, I don't remember. And basically they have more territory, but they're also more again prone to falling apart. And yeah, they have a lot of socialists, Rodoto, and they can have a socialist uprising happen. Mantetsu is just like this timeline's version of Manchukuo, I guess. It's just basically it's a corporate state. Mantetsu was the South Manchurian Railway Corporation, essentially. The South Manchurian Railway runs from Harbin over here to Dalian down here, like that. And you know, it's a very, very important railway in the area because there's this whole region, Manchuria, had a bunch of resource extraction industries, so the transportation was essential, and this company became like very, very quickly like the most profitable in all of Japan, essentially. And in real life, it essentially owned Manchukuo, like basically just owned it. But in this one, it's just like, you know, fucking this state is a corporation. This is literally a corporation. Then in China, you have that the government is under the Shanxi clique, under Yan Xishan, who in real life was just kind of the Switzerland of the warlord Chinese period. In this one, he's trying to survive against the Japanese, and you know, his focus tree is not complete yet, unfortunately. His rivals are Duanqi Zhui in Mongolia, Army of Exiles, because this guy was a kind of terrible, corrupt piece of shit, and a successor of Yuan Shikai, who was the first, or rather second president of the Republic of China, but the first like real leader of Republican China, and you know, he did a bunch of really retarded things. He can revive the empire, which is a bad idea probably, but oh well. Or maintain the military junta under him, or make a parliament and make the new Beiyang Republic. Love it. And yeah, they've got a bunch of things that they can do. Octane cavalry, mechanical horde. Love it. New economic policy for China. I wonder. Oppose the Shanxi, pick off weak warlords, do that kind of stuff. Yeah, obviously. Correct the record. Replace humiliation of China with record corrected. Yeah, they've got, you know, oppose the Mad Bear and all these kinds of things. If the Japanese don't kill the Chinese, like, really quickly, they're gonna have a revolution. and it's likely that the Chinese are gonna survive for at least a little bit. Then there's other cliques. There's the Shandong clique under Sun Chuanfang, who in Kaiserreich is the League of 8 Provinces. You may remember that. Then there's the Nanjing Commune under revolutionary anarchists, Zhang Jinjiang. I have no fucking idea who he is, but they've got the nationalist flag, so I'm guessing the KMT is involved. KMT is involved down here as well, Wang Jingwei and the Fujian clique. Then the KMT is involved down here as well, the Liangguang clique. Now, the Liangguang clique, in this case, is under Hu Hanmin, who was a rightist KMT, while these other two are leftist KMT. And then there's our boy in the Hunan Commune. Our fucking boy. Look at him. Look at him. He's fucking there. He's got state 8926. And he's the best. I mean, come on. If you don't reunite China as this guy, you're a pussy. In fact, can he even reunite China? Tag, Hun? No, Hungarian Council Republic. Xia. Really now, Xia. Thank you. Can we reunite China? No, but you can prepare a revolutionary parade at the very least. Then there's the Yunnan clique under Tang Jiyao. You may remember him from the Chinese warlord mod, or from Kaiserreich. And then there's the Sichuan clique under one of the two Lius, Liu Xiang. And then there's the country that doesn't exist, the Khotan Emirate, which is just like, you know, Turkestan. That's for later. Ma clique under Ma Hongquei, who's the ice cream man. And this one, Xinjiang Autonomous Province under Ma Zhongying. Now, this guy in real life was basically just a murderer. Yeah, basically. Just like, you know, the total bandit. And so I'm guessing that this Black Flag Army is going to be pretty fucking fun when they have events and everything. So yeah, that's basically Red Flag. Let me just very, very quickly check out if certain countries have decisions. Because it seems like there's ideology-focused decisions for basically everyone. Like, yeah, despotism has reward loyal subjects. You know, the great speech, rally the nation. Got war defense. They've got the South Sakhalin oil fields, which I've been actually told an interesting story about these. But that's for another time. They've got an inter-service rivalry. Interesting. Mantats, you have anything unique? Banditry! Oh yeah, they've got the... That's from regular Hearts of Iron 4. Let's see if these Chinese people have some Chinese mechanics from Waking the Tiger. Doesn't look like it, unfortunately. No border wars or anything like that. Are you cool, Nanjing Commune? I like how their tag is just KMT. Oh, and there's also the Jinghuajun under Feng Yuxiang. I mean, literally, it's cleansing the country army, but I'm just gonna call it the purging the country army. This guy in real life was a Christian warlord, which is, yeah, kind of funny. Revolutionary anarchist, no. Well, yeah, right, the ideologies. I haven't taken a look at the ideologies. The ideologies are revolutionary anarchist, vanguard socialist, libertarian Marxist, revisionist socialist, social democrat, liberal, conservative, right-wing authoritarian, despotic, reactionary, and accelerationist. The memes are mostly in accelerationism. Let me check out Vietnam. Die Viet, or whatever. Hello. Do you have anything interesting? No, you don't. Russia. Oh, and the last thing, like in North America, everything is boring except for the United States. Now, I don't think it's in yet, but it will be in at the release. There is a path which is the Technate, which is accelerationist. Now, the Technate, yeah, the Technocracy Incorporated. Basically, what they want to do is they want to make the most efficient society possible. And I know there's a bunch of red flags going off in your brain, you know, thinking about genocide, but actually there isn't that much genocide. The genocide and terribleness will happen in Zholtorasiya, which I'm saving the best for last, don't worry. What the fuck? Remove Trufanov, remove Pushkevich, Kazanbek. These are all Russian politicians. Zemsky Sabor, oh, restore the monarchy. Okay. I'm saving the best for last because, apparently the Dutch mechanics are around. Concessions to soldier councils, or call unpopular representatives. Let's see, tag Fiume. Now, for example, Fiume also will have a focus tree right at the start. There's a bunch of countries that don't have a focus tree right now because it's the demo that will at the start of, or at the release date. Now, since the video is already over an hour, let's just go to Zsoltarasia. Now, basically, like, the meme thing about the Technate that I talked about is that they want to... The Technate is supposed to encompass roughly this. Literally everything from Ecuador and Venezuela and, like, you know, Colombia, all the way to Greenland and Alaska and Canada. So basically, the meme part of the Technate is that they want to essentially take over all of the, you know, American hemisphere, but uniting under a single state. Like, no, you know, no fucking pussy ass like puppeting things. No, just straight up taking over and you know, making technocracy and all of this. So they will go to war with the UK, for example. So the Technate will be a big old meme, and I'll play it. The other big old meme is Zsoltarasia. Now you can already see that bad things are happening over here. One, because Kerensky. I mean, come on. If Kerensky is around, you know that things are not going to go well. Two, that flag already screams trouble. Three, it's Russian, but it's got a bunch of weird territory. Like, the capital is in Harbin. Now, we just stayed 978. It's kind of appropriate because... Okay, basically, this whole area, in real life... Like, okay, in this timeline, the Russians have won the Russo-Japanese War. And essentially from 1896, which is the year following the Sino-Japanese War of 1895, the first one, where Japan takes over essentially Port Arthur, which is this one, Taiwan, and, you know, basically also takes over Manchuria, not like literally, but de facto it does. And takes over Korea. Again, not de facto, they say that, like, you know, the independence of Korea, but Korea is not a tributary state of China anymore, and it gets annexed to Japan like in, you know, 15 years time. It's basically the Japanese puppet state. In the 1905, or rather, in 1896, there's a thing called the Triple Intervention. So Russia teams up with Germany and France to say fuck you to Japan. The French take from China, because shit down there was weird, this port down here that is a colony and like all the Hearts of Iron things. The Germans take Qingdao, this one. The Russians take Port Arthur, which is this one. And they also take over essentially the northern part of Manchuria's sort of economic rights. The Russians had already taken over most of Manchuria. Like, it used to be that all of this was Manchuria, but in essentially the 1800s. So like basically, what the fuck's going on? During the time of the Taiping Rebellion, which is in the 1860s, in the Treaty of Aigun, they take over like this stuff. And then in the Convention of Beijing, which is the follow-up, or I might have gotten them wrong, and maybe it was first the Convention of Beijing and then the Treaty of Aigun, then they take over everything that's below this river, which is the Amur, in Chinese Heilongjiang, very, very important river, runs down into the Pacific Ocean. This part is called essentially the Maritime Province by the Russians. And appropriate music. And in real life, then they lose this part again to the Japanese in the Russo-Japanese War of 1905. not like literally the territory, but again, they had like railway concessions, which, because in, pre-modern China, there weren't any, or, in transitioning to modernity China, there were no railways. If you own the railway, you own everything. Now, it's complicated, but I'll have time to explain another time in depth. And because in this timeline the Russians won the fucking 1905 war against the Japanese, barely, they get to keep some of it. The Japanese have the South Manchurian Railway, but the Russians have the Chinese Eastern Railway. And what they proposed to do, even in real life, was to annex Manchuria to Russia, and that, along with the Far East, that they had taken, Dальний Восток, fucking Maritime Province, places, Primorje, they were gonna make Yellow Russia. Now, the Russians like to name places that they think should be Russia, but maybe aren't Russia, with like a color and then Russia. Like, for example, Belarus, which is white Russia. Then there's some people, call other things different types of Russia. In the Far East, they called it Yellow Russia, which is also racist. Probably. I'm not sure about the origin of the name, but whatever. And it was this proposed, again, like, Russification of Manchuria. Because this land is, like, really fucking good. Not all of it, but mostly, like, down here, once you get into Harbin, into Xinjiang, into Mukden, and these plains down here, this is really fucking good agricultural land. And up here, there are tons of like good natural resources. There's even oil up here somewhere. Of course, they didn't know about that at the time. There's a bunch of coal and iron in these mountainous areas. You can produce soy. You can do all sorts of shit out here. There's ginseng in the forest, blah, blah, blah. It's a cool place. So they wanted to take it over. They do in this timeline. This place, because of the sort of ultra repression, like, Kolchak has gone full white terror. He's killed a bunch of political opponents, whether they were communists or just very different flavors of reds. It's not good. So they're all running away to Zholta. And shit is bad over here, okay? Because all these crazy people that are emigrating out of bad, terrible, draconian, Kolchak land are coming in here, and they all have weird ideologies, or all develop weird ideologies out here. For example, there's the Eurasianists, because of course, they don't have like leaders or names yet. They're not in, but they will be around. There's the conservatives. They're boring. There's the cadets, but they're boring. There's the Trudovaya Narodno-Socialisticheskaya Partia, the Working People's Socialist Party under Kerensky, who are trying to keep everything in check, but as you can see from the chart, they're not making a really good job. There are the Danists, who are socialist revolutionaries, essentially. Moderate socialist revolutionaries, rightist socialist revolutionaries. Basically like Kerensky, but a little bit more reformist. Then there is the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party, Centrist. Now, the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party, you might know them better as Bolsheviks or Mensheviks. Basically, they're them. I'm guessing that the Centrists are going to be Mensheviks, while the Trotskyists, yes, there's Trotsky here in Zholta, are Trotskyists. And then there is the OLN, the Объединение Левого Народничества. Now, Народничество is basically populism. Russian populism, which, to explain it, would take another video as long as this one. But just so you know, the populists were the sort of leaders, the forefathers ideologically of the socialist revolutionaries. As far as I understand it, this is a split off from the leftist socialist revolutionaries that, in real life, briefly supported the Bolsheviks and then broke with them. These people are terrorists. they're represented as revolutionary anarchists, but basically they're just like nuts. Like they just want to blow up capitalism essentially, and so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to play as them, most likely. Now there is another faction out here. One of the I'm guessing Russian Social Democratic Labor Party, because you gotta know that a bunch of Bolsheviks were fucking insane and had a lot of big brain ideas. Now they, as a whole, weren't like the leaders of the revolution, but the whole avant-garde period of the revolution, because yes, the Russian Revolution did have like an intellectual and artistic avant-garde following in its establishment, did help to bring on a bunch of weird personalities, weird figures that had all sorts of weird theories and sometimes awesome ideas. And one of them is a guy called Gastyev, who wants to create this weird, nasty 1984 but worse technocratic society. Basically what he thought is that man could be turned into a machine, and he's in Zholta Rossiya. Now I'm not sure exactly if he's going to be a centrist or if he's going to be represented by something else, but yeah, he can do that. So you can, and that his ultimate objective is to unite the whole world under a single state, a bit like how the German socialists want to, but for him it would literally be like, you know, like the whole world under a single state where everyone is a machine or something. So it's gonna be fun. Now out here, I like how banditry. And out here, the liberals also. There's different flavors of them, and one of them is Ayn Rand. And if you know who Ayn Rand is, you probably already know that bad shit is about to happen. But yeah, that's basically Red Flood. You can tell I'm gonna be playing a lot in Zholta Rossiya when the time comes. But yeah, for now I'm gonna be sticking to what's available, which is France and Germany. So yeah, I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this ridiculously long thing, and I'll see you soon.